Ji, good morning, O1 class. We are having that a complete review of the narrative essay. Today we discussed about the setting. We did an exercise. We had a lot of adjectives and describing words, and we discussed what can be described in the setting, what can be described in the characters description. So after that, what is a conflict, what is the problem, the complication, and that is leading to the sequence of events leading to climax, and then the things are resolved. So I am again going to give you a sum up summary of the structure of the elements of the plot, and what is a narrative essay, and then there will be an example, and then there will be a task that you have to attempt, and you will submit your assignments. So the narrative essay, as you can see this on the screen, that in a narrative essay you must tell a story, introduce the characters and settings, where and when the story happens. This is all we have discussed previously, and you have done some exercises on description of setting and characters as well. And in the description you have to, throughout in your narrative, you have to describe what things look, sound, taste or smell like. Use language creatively by using adjectives and adverbs. I have told you that adjectives, adverbs and any kind of describing words are very much important and prerequisites of a narrative essay. Even you have to use figurative language as well. We did an exercise on using similes, metaphors and personification. This will make your descriptions more exciting. Look, if your readers are going to have a real feeling, they are going to imagine, and if you are going to make them imagine the picture that you are drawing with the help of your words, this is the only way they are going to read further. Otherwise, the readers are going to lose interest in your stories and they are not going to read it further. So you are going to lose marks. So your examiner, the CIE examiner, is actually reading your story as a general reader. So it checks that whether you have been successful in creating or in arousing the interest of the reader or not. Use different lengths of sentences and paragraphs to create different effects. For example, short sentences create drama and tension. Okay, the short sentences, let's take an example. He heard footsteps, full stop. They came closer, full stop. The door slowly opened. So these are all very simple short sentences, but in a very clever way the writer has used it to create a kind of a feeling of suspense. Okay, it can be useful to include words that show time passing. For example, early that evening or the next day. These are all the connectors that are showing sequence of time. And we also discussed in our previous lessons that how connectors are used, are helpful actually in making your piece of writing as a continuous piece of write-up. So here is the recipe, the structure of the essay, how you are going to actually write the essay. What are you going to write in paragraph number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 if you are going to divide your essay, but in like the limit of 250 to 300 words, these all things can be divided into 6 paragraphs. So in paragraph number 1 you have to expose the setting. This is called exposition. You have to expose the setting, the main characters and the basic situation, what from where the story is starting, what is the scenario of the story, what is happening actually. And in the paragraph number 2 you will introduce the conflict. So in paragraph number 1 there is introduction to setting and characters. Your main character, because it's a very short story comprising of only 250 to 300 words, and only I think that only the main character would be described. So what happens in paragraph number 2, you have to like quickly like after giving a very nice, very capturing description of your character and setting, you have to like introduce the problem, the conflict, the complication, which is going to catch your reader, which is going to make your reader stuck in your story. Okay, so this is the second tact you are going to play to make the reader keep on reading your story. So introduce the problem right after you have introduced your setting and character. So it will inciting any incident or any problem in your story. Paragraph number 3 is the rising action. The conflict is giving birth to a lot of events. Something happens and in the result of that something more happens. So cause and effect is going on. So add fuel to the fire, add to the problem. The problem is becoming complex and complex with the passage of time. and it comes to the point where everything can happen, the bomb can explode, and this is the climax, and this you can introduce in your paragraph number 4. Then in paragraph number 5, the climax, the hype that is created by the climax, your story is going on the peak of the graph and then it is now moving down, and the following action, the consequence of the character's actions and decisions, the wise decisions, how to solve the problem, the main character, that's why he's the protagonist, he's the hero, he solves the problem, and now the things are cooling down, and in paragraph number 6, you all loose ends are tied up, the solution to all the problems, no new information. So here you don't add the new information, but it is only the problem that you have introduced, it should be a genuine complicated problem and the solution should be justified. ठीक है जी, the logical justification should be there. Now what is the method, the plot diagram? We had discussed this in our previous regular lessons as well. This is the exposition starting from the right bottom. Here you can see the exposition and it is leading to the conflict. The story is beginning, exposition is beginning or introduction of the story, where the story, place, time, background and characters are introduced. Then there is the conflict. The conflict is the struggle, problem or complication in the story, we discussed it. And then comes the rising action. Rising action starts with the conflict, then a series of events builds up, then theek hai ji, and then it leads to the climax where anything can happen. And now below the climax, the following action, the things are resolving and there comes the resolution, and there can be the happy ending or the sad ending. Okay, so what is the example? The focus, you have to focus on the topic and the planning process. If the topic is like, if I move above, yes, here is the topic, that the day the world ended. You have to write a narrative on it, and if it is the end of the world and all seems lost, sickness and death has crept to every country, town and door as the virus spread, leaving no part of the globe untouched. We are talking about the coronavirus. Maybe write a story that will appear in the history books of future generations entitled it the day the world ended. So this is a kind of a situation that you have to expose in the first paragraph. Okay, now I am going to give you two topics that are written in this, the day the world ended, or you have to write an essay in which you make up a myth about how the coronavirus came into the world. Okay, so you have to develop that myth. Now this is the anchors chart. Again, this is going to be very helpful to you. What are the questions which you have to answer in the exposition? Who are the characters? What character traits, feelings or actions has you are going to share with at the beginning with your readers? What potential problems could the main character experience? Okay, so this is all is going to be told in the exposition paragraph, that is the first paragraph. Then comes the conflict, and what is the problem the main character is experiencing, what other characters are involved in the problem, what caused the problem in the story, what are possible resolutions to the problem, and then it leads to the climax. So in this way, if you are going to focus on these questions in the climax, how has the problem intensified, how has the problem multiplied and reached to its optimum level, how has the main character come face to face with the problem, how has the author been building suspense in the story to lead to the climax. Following action is what events are taking place in the story that are leading up to the resolution, how is the tension from the conflict decreasing in the story, and how are the characters feelings and actions changing. So in these first 10 minutes you are going to listen to this recording, and in the next 30 minutes you have to do brainstorming, and you can like develop, you have to develop this chart, the ideas, total ideas. Okay, then you will post these ideas on the assignment section. You will turn in the assignment and we will see that how this story, we will discuss the ideas first and then we will move to the final draft. Okay, so I hope that this video is going to help you in planning your story. Thanks.